Hello, everyone, and welcome to Session 5, Developing and Registering a Registered Apprenticeship Program. As the name implies, we will take a deeper look into the specific steps to create a Registered Apprenticeship Program. Before we move on, I'd like to recap the two presentations that Vicki Thompson just went over. So Vicki also did a deep dive of Registered Apprenticeship Programs and the partnerships associated with them, and she facilitated some exercises for partnership development. She provided a look at employers, industry associations, certification entities, organized labor and organizations, related instruction providers, sponsor programs, state apprenticeship agencies, or the Office of Apprenticeship, and other organizations that Registered Apprenticeship Program sponsors may want to partner with. So for this session, we will develop a plan for success, develop an understanding of various instruction models, learn about national program standards and national guideline standards, and then discuss launching and maintaining a registered apprenticeship program. So before we get into the content, we have to go over the quiz questions that Vicki assigned you over the last session. The difference with this quiz is that I can't give you the answers. These have to come from you. We will give folks about 30 seconds, 1.5 minutes total, to answer the responses that they provided to her prompts. As responses come in, take some time to review the submissions. This is a great opportunity to learn from each other, as many of you may have thought of partnerships that we might have missed. So for question 1, write down all the partners needed to successfully implement a registered apprenticeship program. If you don't currently have relationships with them, what will you do to get them involved, and who can assist? So I'll give everyone 30 seconds to provide your responses in the chat. All right, question number 2. Who will champion the cause? Who has a reputation and can put skin in the game and has passion to help you develop a registered apprenticeship program? And then the last question, number 3, outline a plan with the tracking matrix to determine who, what, when, and how of each step and outline the who, what, when, and how of each step as you facilitate the collaborative group to a registered apprenticeship program development. So for that third question, if you just want to list out who, what, when, and how, that would be great. Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for taking time to do that work and providing some insights for your colleagues. So now we're going to stray away from the realm of apprenticeship and venture into the world of project management, because launching a registered apprenticeship program is a project. To launch a program effectively, it's important the potential sponsors have the program management skills necessary to see the effort through to completion. Project management is both an art and a science. This video provides an overview of a few skills needed to see a project through to completion. This video is a bit lengthy, but provides excellent insights into project management skills.
Now let's define what a project manager is and describe how they add value to their teams and organizations. Let's start with the definition. Project managers shepherd projects from start to finish and serve as guides for their team, using their impeccable organizational and interpersonal skills every step of the way. As you learned earlier, project managers usually follow a process that involves planning and organizing, managing tasks, budgeting, and controlling costs so that the project can be completed within the approved timeframe. We'll dig deeper into these topics throughout this program. What you need to know right now is that project managers play a crucial role in their organizations. Project managers add value to their teams and organizations in key ways that include prioritization, delegation, and effective communication. So let's break these down. First, we'll discuss prioritization. Project managers add value to their teams and organizations through effective prioritization of tasks required to complete a project. They're experts at helping team members identify and break down large tasks into smaller steps. There will be times when a project manager may not know which tasks to prioritize. To determine which ones are the most critical to the success of the project, they'll connect with their teams and with stakeholders to gather information and make a plan. Stakeholders are people who are interested in and affected by the project's completion and success, like the leader of an organization. You've probably used prioritization to complete work in the past. In any kind of project, personal or professional, there are tasks with different levels of priority. For example, let's imagine that you've decided to rent a house and plan to repaint the rooms. You've picked out your paint and you're eager to get started. While it may be tempting to start painting right away, you'll need to prioritize tasks like laying out drop cloths to protect the floors and furniture, applying blue tape to the room's edges, and much more. Those preliminary steps are critical and need to come before painting. Other related steps, like choosing new faceplates for your light switches, can come later in the process or be switched out of the project entirely if you run out of time or money. When you choose to take care of these preliminary steps before wedging open the paint can, you're prioritizing the tasks or steps of your project. You're also increasing the likelihood that you'll be satisfied with your newly painted rooms. This process is similar for professional projects. When you effectively prioritize important tasks, you set up your team and yourself for a better project outcome. Now, let's discuss delegation. Project managers use delegation to add value to their teams and organizations by matching tasks to individuals who can best complete the work. Let's return to our house painting example for a second here. Painting multiple rooms can be a time-consuming project, so it's possible that you might enlist a few friends to help you get it done. Maybe one friend has professional painting experience. Now, with that in mind, you might ask her to handle the more challenging aspects of the project, like painting the ceiling or the detailed molding. You might also schedule her to paint the molding before another friend paints the walls. So by delegating this task to the person with the right skills to complete the work and ordering the tasks appropriately, you're applying knowledge of your team's strengths to the planning of your project. That makes sense, right? Finally, let's talk about effective communication. Project managers deliver value through effective communication, both with their team and with key stakeholders. This refers to being transparent, which means being upfront with plans and ideas and making information readily available. Project managers keep in regular contact with their team about the progress of the work and help identify areas where a teammate may need support. In our house painting example, this might involve checking in with your friends periodically to ask if they have enough paint or supplies left to complete their tasks. Checking in regularly means you'll know if you need to buy more paint before the can is empty, which ensures that the project stays on track. In addition to keeping up with teammates, project managers keep in regular contact with people outside of the team, like company leaders who are invested in the project outcomes. For example, you might reach out to your landlord to get permission to paint and to share the days you'll be working on this project. Though your landlord isn't directly involved in the project's execution, the outcomes will affect her property, and so it's important to keep her informed. Without your project management skills, you might run out of paint halfway through the project, your walls might get painted without drop cloths to protect the floors, and your landlord could be caught off guard about your plans. So it's a good thing you're here to keep the project running smoothly and efficiently. Great. Now you should be able to define what a project manager is and explain how they use prioritization, delegation, and effective communication to deliver value to their organizations. Coming up, you'll hear about the career path of a real-life project manager at Google. Their journey, to me, is fascinating, and we can't wait to share it with you. You learn that project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to meet the project requirements and achieve the desired outcome. So, how does that actually happen? Well, that's where you come in. Project managers usually follow a process that involves planning and organizing, managing tasks, budgeting, and controlling costs, and other factors so that the project can be completed within the approved budget and timeframe. Let's break these down into examples of responsibilities that you might find in a job listing for a project management role. We'll start with planning and organizing. One responsibility that falls under the umbrella of planning and organizing is making use of productivity tools and creating processes. During the planning and execution of a project, you might need to use certain tools and develop processes to improve information sharing across the team. You may also need to create plans, timelines, schedules, and other forms of documentation to track project completion. And you'll usually need to maintain those documents throughout the entirety of the project. The next task is budgeting and controlling costs and other factors. As the project is underway, changes to the plan and budget are bound to come up, believe me. This will require you to monitor and manage the budget, track issues and risks as they arise, and manage quality by mitigating those issues and risks. One way to do this is by removing unforeseen barriers that come up. Now, by barriers, we mean things that can get in the way of project progress. For example, if your teammates lack the resources needed to complete a task, you might identify that issue or barrier up front, escalate the issue to a stakeholder, and work to secure the resource so your team can move forward. Another huge piece of the project manager's role is managing tasks. A project task is an activity that needs to be accomplished within a set period of time by you, your team, or your stakeholders. Keeping track of tasks is a great way to help manage the team's workload and ensure that things are getting done. Keeping track of tasks is also a great tool for demonstrating progress to people outside the immediate team, like your stakeholders. Back when I was a program manager in student development here at Google, one of our goals was to create pathways for students who identify with communities that are underrepresented in the technology industry. A large part of my day-to-day responsibilities involved working with two separate engineering teams to create our technical curriculum. To manage the tasks associated with this project, I created separate project trackers for each team that outlined the vision for the curriculum. These trackers kept both teams in the loop about the timeline for delivery, the categories and subcategories for work, and the team members assigned to each task. I also made sure to update our stakeholders every step of the way. By actively managing tasks throughout the project lifecycle, I was able to keep tabs on everyone's work and efficiently inform stakeholders, which allowed us to achieve our project goal with minimal issues. Let's discuss the role of the project manager and how that role relates to other roles within the project team. It's easier to hear the term manager and immediately think of your boss, but a project manager is not often the direct manager of the people working on a project team. Here we're discussing the project manager as someone who manages the tasks of a project. But what does that really mean, right? Well, although you might have a few teammates working with you on a project, you're probably not their day-to-day boss. With the help of your team, you can get a lot more done together. Everyone on your team will have their own set of roles and responsibilities, and you'll come together to ensure that everyone is able to do their part to advance the project. Each person will be an expert on their portion of the project, but no one will be an expert on every aspect of the project. And honestly, neither will you. For instance, The graphic designer will focus on graphic design, but probably won't be an expert on copywriting. Similarly, you'll be an expert on project management, but may not be an expert on marketing. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine that you're organizing a camping trip. You might be the person in charge of planning the trip, but that doesn't mean you have to be a camping expert. Maybe you've never been camping before, but your partner grew up spending every summer by the campfire. In that case, you might assign them the task of picking out the right number and style of tents for your group. So, in this example, you are planning the trip by giving your partner the job of finding the right number of tents and the right size tents to make sure everyone's covered. You aren't doing the research or the task yourself, but you're making sure that things are getting done. It's similar in the workplace. As the project manager, you won't be an expert in every project role, and that's okay. As we said, your job isn't to be the expert on everything. Instead, you're responsible for guiding your team and making sure that they have the support that they need in order to complete the project. So how does a project manager go about doing that? Let's discuss using a few more examples of the required responsibilities you might find in a job listing. First, you'll need to hold all team members accountable for their assigned tasks. Managing tasks will help you hold your team members accountable by giving them ownership over specific pieces of the project. Second, you'll need to ensure that issues and risks are tracked and visible, and be able to establish escalation paths. Now, by escalation paths, I mean that you should know how you'll communicate risks to the right people at the right time. Third, you'll need to understand and help teammates adopt the right workflows and project management styles. As the project manager, you'll likely have the best idea of which style is best for the work. It's your job to ensure that the team adheres to that style and the other systems in place. And fourth, you'll need to collaborate with other teams at the organization to meet the requirements based on project, scope, schedule, and budget. In other words, a project may affect not only your team, but other teams at an organization, as well, say, the marketing or the finance team. So you'll need to work with those teams to ensure that everyone is happy with the project outcomes. You'll learn more about working with other stakeholders in a later course. Catch all that? Let's recap. You've learned that a project manager isn't always the direct manager of each member of the project team. Rather, they're responsible for guiding those people and ensuring they have the support they need to complete the project. While there are lots of different skills a project manager can bring to their role, there are 4 specific skill sets that we think can help a project manager be successful. Those are enabling decision-making, communicating and escalating, flexibility, and strong organizational skills. First, let's talk about enabling decision-making. The ability to enable decision-making on the team, or gathering decisions from the appropriate leader, is crucial to keep projects on task and achieve their goals. Lots of the day-to-day decisions within the project will likely fall to you and your teammates to discuss and agree on. You'll ensure that projects stay on schedule by gathering information from teammates and using those insights to help the team make informed decisions. You'll also make sure that those decisions are communicated to the necessary coworkers, whether that's the immediate team or company leaders. For example, you might provide relevant data or feedback to help your teammates make an informed decision between choice A and choice B. The second skill is communicating and escalating. As a project manager, you'll use your communication skills in just about everything you do. This might look like documenting plans, sending emails about the status of the project, or holding a meeting to escalate risks or issues to stakeholders. The third skill is flexibility. As a project manager, knowing how to be flexible when changes are needed is key. Plans definitively will change, even with careful upfront planning. For example, maybe the goals of your company change, or maybe a member of your team unexpectedly takes a new position at another company. A good project manager knows that unpredictable moments like these are almost always guaranteed. A quote we love here at Google is, "The only constant is change," and that's true. By staying cool under pressure, you'll be able to adjust while helping your team stay calm too. And finally, a successful project manager needs strong organizational skills. As you learned earlier, the role of a project manager requires using a lot of different processes to keep the project on track. Having strong organizational skills means having the ability to organize these processes and the core elements of a project to ensure nothing gets lost or overlooked, which, trust me, can and does happen. To prevent this, you might decide to track daily tasks in a spreadsheet or send frequent status updates or reminders. There are many ways to stay organized and hone your organizational skills, and we'll talk more about them throughout the program. To recap, decision-making, communicating and escalating, flexibility, and strong organizational skills are 4 core skill sets that are essential to successful project management. You can continue to build on these skills by becoming familiar with industry knowledge that applies to most project management roles. Knowledge of helpful tools and templates and familiarity with popular project management styles like waterfall and agile can help you organize and document the project throughout its life cycle. We'll learn about these throughout this program. Hopefully, you feel better equipped to explain the core skills a project manager should bring to the role. These skills really help enforce team morale and accountability for the tasks of a project. We'll discuss this coming up. Earlier, you learned about the role of the project manager and the core skills you'll need to be successful in that role. You've also learned more about your role within the project team. Now let's discuss a few key skills that you'll use to build relationships with your teammates and stakeholders. Using your interpersonal skills is key to building relationships with the people involved in your project. By developing these relationships, you'll learn about the needs and concerns of the team. This will help you determine the priorities of the project and motivate your team throughout the process. Possessing strong interpersonal skills is a huge part of good leadership. Even if you've never held a formal leadership position, having these skills will help you when you need to guide a team. This is called influencing without authority, which refers to a project manager's ability to guide teammates to complete their assigned work without acting as their direct managers. There's a few key interpersonal skills that you can use to accomplish this and guide the project outcomes, even without the authority of being your teammate's boss. These skills include communication, negotiation, conflict mediation, and understanding motivations. So let's break these down. First up is a key skill we've mentioned a few times now, communication. In the context of leading a team, communication can include checking in with teammates to understand how they're progressing on a task and providing clear feedback on the quality of a teammate's work. Next is negotiation. Negotiation might include working with a teammate to compromise on a new deadline when they tell you that they won't be able to complete their work on time. Now, trust me, I know this can be frustrating, but you'll need to use your negotiation skills often with your teammates and stakeholders to balance their needs and what is best for the project. Another important skill is conflict mediation. As we mentioned, project plans can change and issues will arise. This can sometimes lead to tension and conflict within the team. So conflict mediation is a great skill to practice and develop to ensure the project does not suffer as a result. This might involve setting up a meeting with 2 teammates who are struggling to agree upon the best way to handle a shared task. And finally, there's understanding motivations. This means getting to know your teammates and figuring out what pushes them to do their best work. Understanding motivations might also include learning how your teammates prefer to receive feedback and how they like to receive recognition for doing a great job. You would use that individualized information to motivate and encourage each person on your team. So to recap, communication, negotiation, conflict mediation, and understanding motivations are all interpersonal skills that will help you influence without authority. During job interviews for project management positions, you might be asked to discuss a time when you influenced without authority. And it's possible that you've already noticed ways that you've used these skills in your personal life without even realizing it. For example, let's say you have a coworker who's constantly late to every meeting, and I mean every meeting. While you can't force them to arrive on time, it's likely that you've thought about ways to motivate them to want to be on time. In doing so, you might have also wondered how to change the way you communicate with your coworker to influence them to be on time. Maybe you've tried asking them to arrive 15 minutes earlier than the rest of the group. Or maybe you've told them how this behavior impacts the rest of the team. Both of these strategies are examples of influencing without authority, and they serve to encourage specific behavior. Influencing without authority is one of the most critical and one of the most challenging aspects of project management. As you've just learned, you'll need to leverage your interpersonal skills in order to do it effectively.
Congratulations on finishing this video in the Google Project Management Certificate. Access the full learning experience, including job search help, and start to earn your official certificate by clicking on the icon. To view the next course in this video, click here and subscribe to our channel to learn more from Google Career Certificates.
Thank you for bearing through that 20-minute video. And now we're going to get back into the world of apprenticeship. So the U.S. Department of Labor has provided a quick start toolkit, and this toolkit is just one of the many tools at your disposal. The toolkit outlines 5 specific steps to successful registered apprenticeship program launch. Step 1, exploring apprenticeship as a strategy to meet the needs of coworkers. Step 2, partnering with key stakeholders in the region or community. Step 3, building the core components of a registered apprenticeship program. Step 4, taking the appropriate steps to register the program itself. And then step 5 is getting ready to launch the registered apprenticeship program. So when exploring creating a registered apprenticeship program, there are a few questions that you might want to ask yourself. What jobs are struggling to find workers right now in my local community or regional community? What jobs are experiencing high rates of turnover? Are there occupations with highly skilled workers retiring soon? Are workers able to keep pace with industry advancements? Are there jobs that permit on-the-job learning? And are there challenges attracting workers from diverse talent pools? A few other questions to consider are: why do your organization or community want a registered apprenticeship program? Do you have organizational buy-in if you are a business trying to build a registered apprenticeship program? What challenges are you facing? And in the chat, I'd like you all to provide a few other questions that I might not have outlined that individuals might want to consider when building a registered apprenticeship program. We'll give folks 30 seconds for that. All great responses. So another category that you might want to explore are occupations that you might want to build a registered apprenticeship program around. But first, I'd like to take some time to delineate to explore the differences between occupations, industries, and sectors. So occupations can be there can be many types of occupations within a single industry. They could consist of a specific job or profession. Occupation data are tracked by the Occupation Information Network, also known as ONET, Standard Occupational Classification System. Occupations can be associated with multiple industries or sectors. For example, a project manager is an example of an occupation that could exist in hospitality, construction management, or education sectors. Industry is generally composed of multiple organizations. It contains various occupations, and the data are tracked by the North American Industry Classification System, also known as NAICS. And sectors are a segment of the economy that contains similar industries. It can also contain a multitude of industries. Sectors are grouped based on commonalities among various industries, and data are also tracked by the North American Industry Classification System. So I know that might seem a little confusing. So I'm going to go over a few progressions, starting with sector progressions, sector and industry progressions. So for the construction sector that composes of various industries within construction, this is what you would see for your NAICS codes. So the largest umbrella, 23, is the industry of construction, followed by a smaller industry within the industry of construction, that is construction of buildings, and then residential building construction, and so on and so forth. Here I provided an example of an occupation progression, also for the construction sector. So as you can see with ONET codes, it follows a similar pattern to NAICS codes, where construction and extraction occupations, the code is 47-000, and it gets more specified. So construction trades workers is 47200, and then it gets more specific from there. So all that's to say, occupations and industries or sectors are worth considering and exploring when trying to identify a program that you might want to visit, to create a program. Apprenticeship USA has outlined 12 key apprenticeable industries. Industries on their website currently include advanced manufacturing, which include occupations such as mechanical engineering technicians and robotics technicians, agriculture, which include occupations such as farmers, ranchers, and other agricultural managers, soil and plant scientists, the construction industry, which contains bricklayers, cement masons, cybersecurity, which includes cybersecurity analysts and application developers, education industry, which contains K-12 teachers and child care development specialists. An important note here is that K-12 teachers was a recently improved apprenticeable occupation. The energy sector, which includes electricians and water treatment specialists. The financial services sector, including risk consultation and general insurance associates. The healthcare sector, that includes emergency and medical technicians and certified nurse aides. The hospitality sector, that includes restaurant managers and nutrition care specialists. Information technology, which includes software developers and computer technicians. Telecommunications industry, that includes telecommunications tower technicians and fiber optic technicians. And last and least, the transportation industry, that includes airframe and power plant managers and store and distribution managers. I also want to note that this is not a comprehensive list of the occupations that are outlined on Apprenticeship USA, simply the industries. All right, we have another activity for you. So I'm going to ask you all to open up a new browser and visit www.apprenticeship.gov/apprenticeship-industries. And then we'd like you to spend 2 to 3 minutes exploring the page, clicking through the tabs to familiarize yourself with apprenticeable industries. Our goal is for you to familiarize yourself with the industries that are high demand and occupations that exist. Thank you all for engaging us through that activity. And I hope if you found it useful to explore high demand occupations. So know that you just had 2 lengthy sessions about the importance of partnerships with registered apprenticeship programs. So I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but as you know, partners can help you gain access to local resources, increase program entry points, align with local workforce needs, support wraparound services, assist with the registration process, and more. So again, I'm not going to go too much further into this, but I'm sure you're aware at this point, partnerships are a huge key to success. So the next step is building the Registered Apprenticeship Program itself. So we've already also kind of gone over this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail again, but building the program includes going through industry-led partnerships, paid job experiences, on-the-job learning and mentoring, supplemental education, diversity, quality and safety, and ensuring that the Registered Apprenticeship Program results in a qualified credential. And also, as you saw during the first presentation, Apprenticeship USA has made this process easier than ever through the Standard Builder tool. So be sure you have reacquainted yourself with the tool and the components to build a program before beginning this process. So the next component of registered apprenticeship programs that we're going to tackle is the related instruction component. So in session 2, we discussed types of work-based learning and types of credentials, and these will be directly associated with the related instruction that you choose. But now we will define related instruction, highlight methods for carrying out related instruction, and considerations for building your program. So related instruction provides supplemental learning opportunities to on-the-job training to ensure mastery of occupational skills. Registered apprenticeship programs typically include at least 144 hours of training each year, and related instruction may result in college credit or a degree. So there are 3 main instruction models with the addition of pre-apprenticeship to registered apprenticeship. So the first model is the traditional model, where apprentices complete related instruction and on-the-job training simultaneously. And as the name implies, this is generally the most common form of related instruction. Front-loaded instruction is where apprentices complete several modules prior to on-the-job training. This can be helpful if you are working in a highly technical occupation or a potentially dangerous occupation that requires front-end knowledge. The third instruction model is a segmented approach where apprentices alternate between related instruction and on-the-job training. And this may be beneficial for apprentices with varying degrees of job responsibilities, or it could be beneficial in an exploratory pre-apprenticeship model where apprentices are experimenting with different occupations within a business. And not quite similar to the previous models that were mentioned, but still important to note, is the pre-apprenticeship to registered apprenticeship model. So quality pre-apprenticeship programs have partnered with registered apprenticeship programs to ensure direct entry with advanced credit upon completion of a pre-apprenticeship program. So how are you going to provide your related instruction? Are you going to handle that in-house, out-of-house, or some hybrid of the model? Each model has its own benefits and drawbacks. In an in-house model, apprenticeship sponsor has instructors on staff that can help build connections, and that can help build connections with mentors and staff for the apprentice. It can be more supportive of specific workforce needs, and the instruction can be tailored specifically to the needs of a specific business or region. It can also help remove commute time and avoid transportation barriers for apprentices. An out-of-house model generally is with the partnership of community colleges, technical schools, apprenticeship training schools, or online curriculum that may already be developed. This can save you time, energy, and resources if you know that the resources already exist. You could learn from other organizations by exchanging ideas. It may help you leverage more funding opportunities because with multiple organizations involved, it can demonstrate a collective impact and appeal to more funders and donors. The last option for related instruction is a hybrid model that leverages knowledge from multiple organizations, including your own, and it can also decrease commute time for apprentices. So to help you figure out which model is best for you, we've outlined a few considerations. Should apprentices be paid for their time in the classroom? This is not technically required, but could help apprentices from low-income backgrounds complete the Registered Apprenticeship Program. What does the related instruction schedule look like? Does related instruction take place in the morning or evenings? Does it take place at work? Or are you considering a hybrid model? What content will help apprentices gain meaningful skills? What content should the instruction contain? Who can help deliver the related instruction? Will you partner with experienced staff members or retired staff members, especially as older generations approach retirement age? That can help them transfer their knowledge onto the next generation. And the last but not least, another consideration is, what are your apprentices' needs? Does age, language, technology, transportation, familial support, or education experience play a role in their needs? Well, this is not a comprehensive list. These are just a few of the considerations you might want to explore before figuring out your related instruction path. So now that you've gotten through that, we're going to get into a highly technical part of registered apprenticeship, and that is officially registering the apprenticeship program. Once you have fulfilled the 5 key aspects of a registered apprenticeship program, you must register with the Office of Apprenticeship or an approved state apprenticeship agency. Your state apprenticeship office can walk you through the process of formally registering. And depending on how your program is organized, you will end up following national guideline standards, national program standards, entering your information into the Registered Apprenticeship Information Data System, and/or using a local apprenticeship program standard. So what exactly are national program standards? National program standards are registered by the Office of Apprenticeship and consist of occupational standards which are developed and sponsored by an employer, national trade or industry organization, labor organization, education institution, or consortium. They demonstrate a national or multi-state design and scope based on considerations of the national program standards. They do not necessarily need state apprenticeship agency approval unless the state has provisions that necessitate the approval. So there are 2 categories of national program standards. Category 1 is a single employer sponsor program, and category 2 is a multi-state or group sponsor program. And there are 2 criteria under which single employer sponsor programs can be approved. Criteria 1 is that the employer has 300 or more employees. The employer is a national or multi-state employer with business operations in at least 5 states, or an international company with operations in 5 countries. And the employer has a written plan that demonstrates an achievable strategy for equitable program growth and registering at least 20 apprentices within 2 years. The second criteria is if the employer already has a registered apprenticeship program that has successfully completed a probationary period. Program enrolls at least 10 apprentices in its existing program, and has a written plan that would register 20 apprentices within 2 years. And the last piece of that is that the written plan demonstrates an achievable strategy for a multi-state or nationwide expansion. So category 2, multi-state or group sponsors only have one criteria to follow. That is that they must have 3 employers using sponsors standards or have written commitments to do so. They must have a written plan with an achievable strategy for growth that is successful in registering at least 20 apprentices. And they must demonstrate an achievable strategy and its written plan for multi-state or nationwide expansion. So while this may be confusing, we recommend the next steps are to contact, if you are considering using this standard, to contact staff from the Office of Apprenticeship to request information under the NPS framework. Existing programs should contact the registration agency, and new programs can visit the link provided. So next, national guideline standards are also registered by the Office of Apprenticeship. They can be submitted by labor unions, trade or industry associations, employers, workforce intermediaries, education providers, and other organizations with a national scope provided. Their standards are found suitable for adoption or adaptation by state or local affiliates of the submitting organization, and the programs can fully satisfy the regulatory requirements set forth by the appropriate code of federal regulations. Other criteria include that the standards pertain to an apprenticeable occupation, and the applying organization has a national scope or influence. So other key features of national guideline standards are that they come with a customizable template for apprenticeship standards that provide a nationally certified but locally registered framework for occupational standards. They tend to be more flexible than national program standards to account for local needs. They are more accommodating towards various state licensing requirements. They tend to be suitable for organizations with a national scope who wish to provide state or local affiliates with an option to adapt a set of nationally designated apprenticeship program standards. They are suitable for workforce intermediaries who only intend to provide related instruction. To differentiate between the two, we provided an outline of the requirements for both national program standards and national guideline standards. So RAPIDS. The U.S. Department of Labor uses RAPIDS to track data from registered apprenticeship programs, and they define it as the 25 federally administrated states and 18 federally recognized state apprenticeship agencies that they use the Employment and Training Administration's Registered Apprenticeship Partners Information Database System, which gives it the acronym RAPIDS, to provide individual apprentice and sponsored data. This subset of data is referred to as RAPIDS data and can be disaggregated to provide additional specificity. The federal subset of that data, 25 states plus national programs, is known as the federal workload. The remaining federally recognized state apprenticeship agencies and U.S. military apprenticeship program provide limited aggregate data on a quarterly basis that is then combined with RAPIDS data to provide a national data set on high-level metrics, apprentices and programs, but cannot generally be broken out into greater detail beyond data provided here. So in short, data from registered apprenticeship programs are stored in the RAPIDS database and can be used to communicate registered apprenticeship program trends and outcomes that can help improve practices and outcomes. So I said we were going to go over local apprenticeship standards. That will actually be covered in tomorrow's session because that is currently under construction, making a little sector joke there. And it'll be covered by Vicki Thompson and a guest speaker, Lauren Smith from the U.S. Department of Labor. So benefits of registered. We've gone over several benefits, but just to recapture those, programs that are federally registered receive technical assistance and support from the Office of Apprenticeship and state apprenticeship agencies. They result in a national credential that supports workers throughout their careers. The programs can maintain quality standards through help of the registered apprenticeship system. They can receive tax credits. So being a part of the Registered Apprenticeship Program system can help programs leverage tax credits to support their programs. And there are other federal resources provided for having a Registered Apprenticeship Program. So now that you've gone through all the steps, you have your plan, and your program is registered, it's time to officially launch your program. So the steps outlined here are to conduct marketing and outreach for your Registered Apprenticeship Program, to engage candidates and new possible collaborators, recruit candidates for your Registered Apprenticeship Program. Once they've entered your program, it's time to train them, and be sure to clarify requirements of the program and expectations. As you move throughout the program, it's great to assess and improve the program using data tracking and researching evolving industry practices and connecting with other collaborators involved with the program. Continue to communicate with the state apprenticeship offices or Office of Apprenticeship so they can provide technical assistance as needed. And then maintain the program and foundational processes involved. Some important steps for managing the programming include clearly defining the goals for your program to all stakeholders, as goal clarification will lead to a clear vision for the program. Coordinate administration and oversight of individuals involved. Monitor evaluation measures and performance metrics for continuous improvement. Track scheduling of content for related instruction and examine ways to improve related instruction through adding new content or omitting old content. Continue to enhance marketing efforts and reach more apprentices and collaborators. And maintain screening processes for apprentices to ensure fit for the program. So in conclusion, seeing a registered apprenticeship program through to completion will require project management skills. The key steps to see a registered apprenticeship program through to completion are exploring, building partnerships, building the program itself, registering the program with the Office of Apprenticeship or state apprenticeship agencies, and then launching the program itself and maintaining. We covered the difference between occupations, industries, and sectors. And we went over an outline of national guideline standards and national program standards. And before we let you go, we have your 5th quiz. So question number 1, describe the difference between an occupation, an industry, and a sector. Question number 2, name 4 to 12 high demand industries outlined by the Apprenticeship USA. And question number 3, select one related instruction method, in-house, out-of-house, and hybrid, and describe benefits for the specific method you choose. So that's all that we have for you today. We hope you enjoy your further next session with Vicki Thompson and Lauren Smith.